Welcome to Raise On in the Lab podcast. I am Deuce, and this is another edition of The Lab. You're in the lab right now with Deuce, and today, what we're going to talk about is the news that we have received that we have someone to bump against in training camp, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. But before we go there, let's kind of go back a little bit to last year. We didn't bump with anyone last year, which was kind of disappointing. I think that's what's missing from this team. We really, start off slow. I think we're starting off slow because we just kind of bumping with each other, right? And I think we need to bring someone in. I think the one-on-ones in the trenches with the linemen and the D linemen is always exciting. The one-on-one with the cornerbacks and the wide receivers is always exciting. And it gets the opportunity for the quarterbacks to see something different in 7-on-7s, 9-on-9s, and 11-on-11. So I think I really think it means a little more. And I think it's more value and it's more beneficial than actual preseason games, especially when you're talking about the depth chart 1 and 2, where those guys really don't play as much. And in practices, during the joint practices, you can really dictate the game, the speed of the game, getting people in and out, being on the field, calling the whistle. Quarterbacks can't get hurt. Can't get hit, and all those different types of things. So last year, Ron Rivera kind of came out later in the year that we were supposed to have some bump with the Buffalo Bills, right? But we know what happened with Buffalo Bills, the whole J.D. McKissick situation. From what I understand from the reports I've read and I've watched and I've listened to, was JD was told by us to go out there, kind of fish around to see what you can get, see what teams will offer you this. So the Buffalo Bills offered him a tentative deal. And from the looks of it, they had the understanding that he was going to sign with them, that he agreed to. It even came out that JD agreed to a deal with the Buffalo Bills. But then something happened, right? He ended up signing back with the Commanders. But why? Like, why did he backtrack that? Why did he backtrack that? So what I kind of understand from what happened is the Commander said, go out, see what you can get, come back to us, let us know, give us an opportunity to match it. Obviously, his agent did not do that. He just went on, and JD was under the impression that we did not want to match that deal. And, he ended up agreeing with the Bills. But the actual free agency haven't started yet. That was only the tampering period, right? The legal tampering period where, you can make like I promise deals until the actual league year starts. So it ended up, the Commanders wanted him back. They end up working it out. They matched the deal, gave him a little bit more of incentives, and he ended up signing back with us. But that left a sour taste into the mouths of those guys, the coaches and everything over there in Buffalo. And that Ron has a relationship with those guys from Carolina. So all that just didn't work out. I'm quite sure it wasn't nothing in the media. So he ended up signing with the Commanders, but it wasn't like no like national media, local media, like out in the media type thing between Ron Rivera and Sean McDermott. But I know Sean McDermott had kind of said something, in the media, like when it happened, he was disappointed. So I'm quite sure they had a phone call, right? I'm quite sure they had a phone call offline, and they kind of went at it, they feel like they were slighted. So, so ultimately they didn't bump last year. So we didn't have a team, which I think we need. I think it's very beneficial for us to bump against another team and training camp. I actually think it's even more value than the preseason games, because when you look at the depth chart 1 and 2, they really don't see a whole lot of action. Like this new NFL, they only playing 3 games. Most teams, most starters don't, put their starters out there. But in the joint practices, you can really dictate, the practices, right? You can do the one-on-ones, the 2-on-2s in the trenches. You can do the one-on-ones with the wide receivers, the cornerback, running back, linebackers. The quarterbacks get to see something different defenses for the 7-on-7s, 9-on-9s, 11-on-11s. And then, you really can't hit the quarterback. Like the flow of the game can really be dictated by the coaches and staff. But I really think that's very beneficial. And I think that's going to help us not to come off to a slow start, because like we're going to talk about this later in the year, of course, but we cannot start off slow anymore. Like we cannot do that on offense or on defense. But yeah, it came out that we're going to bump the Baltimore Ravens, right? 295, the battle of the beltways, and all those things. I think it's August 16th and 17th, because I believe you have the Monday night game, which is crazy. You got a preseason Monday night game on the 21st. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me get the actual dates for you. I have it here. The Ravens will be hosting in the Washington. This comes from Jeff Zierbiak. I think he's a local guy for the Ravens. I think he kind of put it out first that the Ravens will be hosting the Washington Commanders for 2 days of joint practices, August 15th and 16th at the Under Armour Performance Center. I'm glad they're not coming to Ashburn. That will lead into the August 21st preseason matchup between the two teams at FedEx Field. Remember, like, they're right up the street from each other, right? Battle of the Beltways. It's not going to be a big deal. They say this would be the fourth time that the Ravens hosted joint practices, so that's gonna be fun, man. I can't wait to be able to see the clips from that. I don't think it's going to be open to the public. It definitely won't be open to the Commander fans, I don't think. But I am very excited about that. It's so many. Well, I don't want to say so many, right? There are some storylines. There, of course, the quarterbacks, right? The quarterbacks. We got Lamar Jackson, who went through everything that he went through in the all season, trying to get paid his money. The cryptic tweets that was going out. I wanted to demand a trade. And we was one of the teams. I was like in our spaces, we talked about it all the time. Like, hey, look, man, we can make a play for Lamar, even when we had Sam Howell. So that's going to be a storyline, right? Lamar Jackson and Sam Howell is definitely going to be a storyline. And then the Ravens just revamping on offense, right? You have OBJ. OBJ, of course, he's going to bring excitement anywhere he goes, man. I believe he's still a heck of a player. I think he has lost a couple steps, right? He had 2 ACL surgeries, so that's going to be kind of fun to be able to see him. They have Rashad Bateman, who can stretch the field, get down the field. So I'm very excited to see what these guys do. And the players that these guys have, right? They got Zay Flowers, who is an electric wide receiver, rookie that they also drafted. And they also have like some of the Commanders' darling from last year, and Kyle Hamilton, right? Get to see him up close. A lot of Commander fans wanted us to get him last year. He kind of started the season off slow, picked it up, of course, ended up being one of the best young rookies and rookie safeties in the league last year. And then we got us, right? We got Sam Howell throwing to a different defense. Being able to, we supposedly have a quarterback competition, and we talked about that. I talked about that in the episode. Please check it out. And also, like, we have our rookies. We have Emmanuel Forbes, our first round pick cornerback with a pick 16. I want to see him on OBJ. Like, he's going to get reps. I want to see reps with him on OBJ. I want to see some reps with him on Zay Flowers, at Quan Martin, and I want to see has BSJ improved. Like, I want to be able to see all these things, and I think those are some of the things we're going to see. But the most important thing, what I'm anticipating, what I really, really want to see is EB. I want to see EB in kind of live action against another team, right? This is going to be the EB we've never seen before. He has total control of the offense. He's the assistant head coach. There's always been rumblings about how he has changed the way that they practice out there in Ashburn. And we're going to get into that a little later in the offseason. So that's what I'm really, really eager to see, is how he works. I want to see how EB moves the sideline. I want to see how he commands the sideline, the connection between him and Sam Howell. By that time, they should have some type of rapport. I want to see this plays. I know we're not going to see, like our actual game one playbook, but I want to see some consistency. I want to see it. It needs to be smooth. It needs to look smooth. And you know what I mean? Like, the plays need to come in smooth. They need to be executed, even though it might be a little ugly. I'm anticipating for it to be ugly, right? But I want to see the confidence there, right? So that's the main thing that I'm looking forward to in this preseason game against the Ravens. In the comments section, you can hit me, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can follow me on all social media platforms. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast from, Red Zone in the Lab. hit me up on Twitter. That's why I'm usually on Twitter, Deuce at Red Zone in the Lab. Hit me up. Let me know like how you feel. Are you excited about OTAs having this bump with the Ravens? I am. We could talk some trash, get into it with the Ravens, man, because I think that's going to be fun to see them boys out there on practice. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love. I'm out. Ha ha.